Joined now by James Robinault, a writer and author who's penned articles about the assassination along with several history books. James, thank you so much for coming on again to talk about this. Let's talk about this new information, which suggests that wound on JFK's neck was actually an entrance wound. If that is true, how does that impact everything surrounding the investigation and conclusions about JFK's death?
Well, there are actually two wounds in question. The first, there was one in his back that the Warren Commission said was a bullet that then came out the front of his neck. The one in the back, though, was a shallow wound. That night at the autopsy, the physicians couldn't even put their little finger through it. It was a shallow wound. And Paul Landis, who's written this new book, says he found that bullet, the pristine bullet, on the back of the car, that it didn't go through JFK, and he took it into the hospital. So that's the big point there. The wound in the front was masked by a tracheotomy that was done when the president came in. So the Bethesda pathologist didn't know that there was a bullet wound there. The doctors at Parkland who saw that wound thought it was an entrance wound. And there's a film out right now about that. And if so, that means that a shot came from the front, hit him there. One shot came at him in the back, and then a final shot or shots really damaged his head badly and killed him. So it's an amazing, confounding story, but it still has a lot to be understood.
It really does, James. Why do you think there is still new information coming out now? I mean, here we are, at this point now, 6 decades later, to the minute. Obviously, this is a memory that would certainly be seared into a person's mind for the rest of their life, but it's also a long time ago. I mean, is this really information we can believe, information we can trust?
Yeah, good question. I mean, there's a lot of people who are skeptical of Paul Landis's story, 6 decades later. Why didn't he say it back then? I've worked with him all summer, and I tend to believe his story. We worked enough. He's got corroborative proof, which is the physical evidence of the shallow wound in the back that the FBI reported. But the other thing that's happened with this investigation is the Warren Commission came out with its report. They really wanted to tamp down speculation that there might have been a communist conspiracy or even the mob. We had just been close to nuclear war. They really wanted to stop it. And so that happened. And then people began to question it because it didn't make any sense. And the problem is the people who questioned it were labeled really as conspiracy kooks and people who weren't really there. Over time, more and more information has come out over the last 6 decades. A lot more documents have been revealed. And now the true scholars of this are saying, no, the Warren Commission did not have it right. And, there is so much more to talk about. So I think today we have this new information from Paul Landis that everybody has to take seriously and take a look at and, reevaluate the evidence.
And James, I have to admit, personally, I got pulled into this special. I know the first time I visited Dallas, I wanted to go to the site of where this happened. I mean, this all happened before I was born. But why do you think all these years later, there is still so much fascination with this, as well as so much mystery surrounding JFK's death?
Yeah, again, I think two things. The first thing is that this is the world's greatest murder mystery, and people are interested in murder mysteries. And this one is a doozy, and it's been around for a long, long time. But the main reason is that Kennedy was so beloved. He was so young. He was so vibrant. He was so positive about things that when this guy is shot down in one of our cities in plain sight, it just undercut confidence that people had that their government was not in danger. And then when the Warren Commission came out, a lot of people began to believe their government was lying to them. And so it's a snowball effect that is still taking hold today, where people feel alienated from their government because they don't believe some of the things the government says.
And we certainly hope at some point we will definitively know what happened that day. James Robinault, thank you so much for giving us some of your time.
Thanks, Nichole.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.